Surely, every one of us noticed that in Malaysia nowadays we are facing with the increasing in the food expense in our daily life. For example, the sale price of imported white rice throughout the country was adjusted from Ringgit Malaysia 2,350 metric ton to Ringgit Malaysia 3,200 based on Padi Beras National Berhad statement on 1 September 2023. Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. I'm Nazri bin Rosman, the first presenter. Today, we are going to present our academic paper titled Climate Crisis Influential Toward Food Security and Supply Chain in Malaysia. Before I start with the first presentation, let me introduce our team members from Group 6. The first member in our group is Muhammad Shafiq bin Muhammad Fauzi. The second member is myself, Nazri bin Rosman. The third member is Muhammad Amir bin Zaini. And the last member in our group is Pravin Rash, anak lelaki Mutu. Firstly, for the introduction in our academic paper, we are pointing to the definition of food security and supply chain. We also highlight about the importance of this ecosystem to our country to maintain its stability that can affect our food security and supply chain. Secondly, we are revealing about the causes and effect of climate change, such as El Nino and La Nina, that can affect our agriculture sector. The rise in temperature and heavy rain can affect our country's stability in food security and supply chain. Lastly, for the thesis statement, we are certain that unpredictable climate change have led to the interruption of the food security and supply chain in Malaysia.
Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. Thanks to my fellow friend Nazir Rosman for introducing our topic that we are going to present about. Hello, this is Amir Zaini. In this topic, we are going to discuss how climate crisis occurred in Malaysia. So, first thing first, El Nino referred to a little boy in Spanish when a South American fisherman had discovered an unusual event of warm water temperature in Pacific Ocean back in 1600s. A review paper of El Nino published by Dr. Anubhav Soni and Mr. Puran Singh in February 2022, Utah University. Approximately 2 to 8 year recurrent duration of El Nino southern oscillation, and so is regarded of the greatest form of interannual variability of the global climate system. We speak about El Nino. Let me enlighten you how it is taking place in equatorial Pacific Ocean. In normal condition, consistent winds blow through from east to west part consists of South America to Southeast Asia called as trade winds. While the wind blows, ocean current push warm water near the surface, compounding around Southeast Asia, and conversely go around South America, having warm water pushed and substituted by cold water from bottom of the ocean. This process called upwelling. Meanwhile, compounded warm water across the Southeast Asia, forming cloud, normal rainfall, and evenly circulate the surrounding temperature and self-perpetuating state in the world. Nevertheless, trade winds that normally flow in usual suddenly weaken in the same way spread out the warm ocean into colder parts. This situation cancelling out the normal temperature difference and changing the rainfall pattern over the equatorial as well as the large-scale winds. Therefore, disaster phenomena invading Southeast Asia significantly in high temperature rises, introducing lack of rainfall, lead to drought, and consequently to El Nino that will last several months. La Nina phenomenon, totally opposite compared to El Nino. La Nina, mean little girl in Spanish, tend to strengthen trade wind from east to west direction, pushing the cool water exceeded the normal rate. The result of this reaction will bring low temperature effect and upscale large winds, triggering heavy rainfall followed by hurricane in Asia continent. Risk of flood disaster is to be expected in this occasion afterwards. Much appreciated to all of you lending me an ear to explain this topic regarding how climate crisis occurred in Malaysia. Next, I am pleased Nazir Rosman to share following topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Amir, for the presentation for the first body of our academic paper that explain about the causes. For the next presentation, I will present about the body number 2, which is the effect of climate change toward food supply chain in Malaysia. In this body number 2, firstly, we immediately start the writing with the explanation on what is meant by supply chain or what is the definition of supply chain for further understanding to the readers. Supply chain is a process from agriculture sector such as crop sector, livestock production, aquaculture, fisheries and forestry for food, or we can understand it as a raw material that goes to the processing and production process, later on to the packaging process, and lastly, the final product we reach to the customer and consumer. Secondly, we show our writing with a statistic from Department of Statistics Malaysia about SSR, which is stand for self-sufficient ratio, that reveal most of our staple food production in Malaysia are still low in production. For example, from the SSR statistic 2021, the production of commodity material such as rice is only at 62.6% and beef is only at 29.7%. By this statement, clearly we can understand that our country must import this commodity material from other countries to accommodate the food demand in our country. Referring to the article from Berita Harian Online on 1st August 2022, indicate that our country has spent about Ringgit Malaysia 63 billion from importing food. Thirdly, we also highlight about the impact of climate change, which is El Nino and La Nina, toward the agriculture sector in Malaysia. When we said about El Nino, we noticed that is about the rise of temperature that can affect the crop yield and irrigation system. Referring to the Malaysian Department of Agriculture 2022, the optimum temperature for the germination of rice seedling is between 20 to 30 degrees Celsius. Therefore, El Nino that smash our country causes the rice seedling suffering failure in the early stage by exposed to extreme temperature. Other than that, because of El Nino, our paddy field also confront with the threat of disease and plant pests, which will affect the quality and the quantity of the rice production. On the other hand, La Nina is about a strong wind followed by heavy rain that knock out our country also can affect our agriculture sector in Malaysia. Therefore, it can destroy our plantation to collapse underwater and reduce the production. Finally, we highlight about the threat that our country facing toward the stability of supply chain regarding to Bangkok Post on 23rd August 2023. The world's largest producer of rice, which is India, has stopped or banned exporting 40% of rice to the world because of the climate crisis that hit their country. Therefore, not only the world market, Malaysia also will experience an increase in price of rice due to high demand and dependency from other main producing countries. As a result, Malaysia ringgit has experienced a severe fall due to the increase in consumer inflation. That's all from me about the effect of climate change toward the food supply in Malaysia. And I will pass the next presentation to Shafiq. Thank you.
Thank you, my friends. Before I start, let me introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Shafi bin Fauzi. This presentation, I will share with you about food security. Do you know what food security? According to Cambridge Dictionary, food security is defined as the state in which all people have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food. What is meant by food security refers to handling, preparation, and storage of food to prevent disease caused by microorganisms and chemicals. For information, a report by the World Health Organization (WHO) found that 77% of children and adolescents in Malaysia aged 5 to 19 had a starved growth. As a result, malnutrition, there are direct effects on children such as impaired growth, lack of production, decreased immunity, and impaired brain structure and function. Instead of the sudden and extreme climate change, increase the probability of issue involving food security. For example, food and drug the acquire contribute to food production. The effect, food production and seller suffer loss, high price had to be charged to compensate their loss of revenue while meeting demand that outstrip output. Finally, the less fortunate or poor will affect. The cost of spend to get the basic food become a burden indirectly affect the food security. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, I am Pravin Raj from Group 6. I am going to present the counter arguments, refutation, and conclusion. Let's begin. Economic stability undeniably exerts a significant influence on food security and supply chains. As highlighted in the February 2023 Economic Review of Malaysia, the persistent high inflation rate, particularly the increased 7% year on year in food inflation rate, has sounded an alarm. These economic challenges stem from multiple factors, including elevated global commodity prices, the devaluation of the Malaysian ringgit, and robust domestic demand. These issues have localized impact. With Peninsular Malaysia experiencing elevated food inflation, good government policies like fuel subsidies play a pivotal role in shaping supply chains, directly affecting transportation costs, which is a crucial element in the food distribution. On the other hand, the reduction of or elimination of government subsidies in the agricultural sectors, as exemplified by the recent policy changes in Malaysia, can trigger instability in food prices. This instability affects the affordability of essential food items, particularly for low income groups, ultimately undermining food security. Government policies or the lack of thereof significantly influence food prices and consequently the nation's food supply security. However, it's crucial to recognize that while economic factors and government policies are critical elements in this equation, they pale in comparison to the profound and immediate disruption caused by the unpredictable climate change. Climate change, characterized by the events like El Nino and extreme weather patterns, can lead to catastrophic consequences for the agricultural sector. The 2014 flood in Malaysia resulted in substantial losses, including damage to the crops, natural resources, and infrastructures. Such climate related disasters directly disrupt the agricultural ecosystem, leading to reduced resources capacity and crop yields. Unlike economic stability, climate change poses an imminent and severe threat to the very foundation of the food production. In summation, while economic factors and government policies undeniably influences food security and supply chains, the overwhelming influence of unpredictable climate change cannot be underestimated. Climate-related disruption poses an imminent and severe threat to the agricultural sector, leading to reduced resource capacity, crop yields, and food availability. While economic stability and government policies do matter, they should not divert our attention from the urgent need to address climate change and its escalating challenges to our food system and the entire ecosystem chain. In navigating these complex waters, it's essential to recognize that the economic stability and climate change are interconnected. The long term sustainability and resilience of the food system hinge on addressing the environmental factors that climate change exacerbates. Therefore, while economic considerations are not to be underestimated, the overarching priority must remain focused on mitigating the impact of climate change and to secure a stable future for Malaysia. Thank you for your attention.